BMW E30 is kind of the ubiquitous Lemons car, and there's a good reason. You know what? It's fast, it handles great. Used to be you could get them all day long for not a lot of money. Sadly, it just makes a really good race car. The team we're going to talk about right now, they had an E30. They decided they were not E30 people. They were going to reject all that and go a completely different way.
First, a little background on this team. It's the typical, for Lemons, group of completely qualified and professional racers. There's a school lunch lady who's the team captain. You've got an Australian who speaks a language that nobody understands. You've got a hospital pharmaceutical rep, aka a drug dealer, a redneck from Texas, a Panamanian who has Formula One delusions, some guy named Vince, and a French-Indian chemical engineer.
So all of that varied expertise, and they still made the classic mistake, i.e. they listened to us trying to decide what kind of a car to buy.
That's right, we had this post on Instagram of a Pontiac G6 in the junkyard, and we made an offhand comment about, hey, never seen a G6 in Lemons, if that's something you guys would want to do. This team saw that post, went on the internet, and there on Facebook Marketplace, Pontiac G6, and it was karma.
100% bone stock car, automatic 3.5 GM sound of power.
GM sound of power.
GM sound of power.
Yeah, so all they did to prep this car was they changed the fluids, they changed the spark plugs, just basically tune-up stuff, and that is one of the advantages of this Pontiac G6 over a BMW. All that stuff you can get at the AutoZone, you can get at the Napa, you can get at the AM/PM. It's super easy to find, it's all super cheap. These guys realized that. They realized that doing it this simple way, not swapping an engine, any of that more complicated stuff, can be a really successful way to do Lemons.
So I think these guys are doing it right. And when I asked them, like, well, why a G6? They said, dude, because it's the least amount of money for the most amount of fun and track time, which is great. They haven't gotten greedy. The only mod that they did is they moved the battery from the front to the back because, you know, perfect weight distribution. And then they're literally off to the races. The guy did mention that if he's ever at a cocktail party and somebody says, well, what do you do for fun? And he says, well, I race cars. They say, what kind of car do you have? And he says, Pontiac G6. They're like, ah! And they turn around and they move away. But other than that, it's working great for them.
So having a race car that nobody thinks is a real race car that you can buy parts at the 7-Eleven for does have some drawbacks. While you can get every single tune-up part under the sun, there is exactly zero performance upgrades for this car. One of the weaknesses, the brakes. Can you go out and get some Brembos for a Pontiac G6? You cannot.
Yeah, you're not getting coilovers either, which they've learned the hard way because, to be fair, they need to put all new factory stock stuff on this car like every time they race. Shocks at the end of the weekend, blown. Wheel hubs, destroyed. But they do it. They say they have a good time getting together, working on the car, putting it back together. They also say their wives all think they're crazy, which I'm sure is true. Now, I will say these guys have one problem. They are out there with way faster cars, and they have voiced some concern about that. All I can really say about this, you know what, dude? The way faster cars, they voiced some concern about you. So everybody's in the same boat.
Is that a solution? Is everyone happy? Okay, gotta go.
Is it that simple? Can I just ditch my boring ass BMW and have more fun with a Pontiac? And the answer is, well, yes.
The GM sound.